episode of the Going Over podcast. It is I, your neighborhood friendly coach, trainer, promoter, 44-year-old professional wrestler, Zack and Primetime Reeb. And I'm joined alongside, as always, with my podcast partner, the all 6 feet, 12 inches of the wrecking ball, Paul Isadora. Paul, welcome to the Thunderdome.
Well, welcome to the Terradome. Welcome to the Terradome. Yeah, man, we're just getting going here. Episode 145. You know, where we got the new channel off and running. We got some shorts running. We got some. What else are we running? Some things on the gram. A couple things on the gram as well. So trying to get it moving, man.
That's my new rap name. It's called I'm Graham Cracker.
There you
I'm
go.
Graham Cracker with that good grammar. Call me that. Graham Cracker with that good grammar. And I want to say, the last time we were on here, I completely bashed WWE WrestleMania 0 for 7. What a run, huh? They went 0 for 7 in one night, batted 0%. And then I was very vocal about it because I was pissed off. I was pissed off at the product. I was pissed off at the booking. And here we go. Come back for night 2, and it is night and day. It was like TKO themselves booked WrestleMania night 1, and then they were like, oh, you know what? This is Talladega Nights and the Wonder Bread truck, the Wonder Bread car. The drivers got out because they're in last place to get some chicken strips. And they were like, does anybody want to go fast and drive a race car? And Ricky Bobby was like, I'll get in, I'll drive fast. And then it looked like WWE booked night 2. And I'm just going to say it like this. The middle was good, but beautiful start to the show and even more beautiful end. I don't know. Did you end up watching WrestleMania?
Yeah, I ended up watching it. You know, it's like I said, man, I don't watch a whole lot of the product on TV. It's just doesn't fit well with the schedule. You know, we got stuff going on throughout the week, and trying to podcast twice a week, trying to have wrestling training, having running shows, basketball practice. I feel like my schedule is very, very busy. And so I don't prioritize watching WWE or AEW on TV. But the exception was we did sit down as a family and we watched WrestleMania on Saturday and Sunday. And, we've already given our thoughts. Pretty brutal first day, we bashed it pretty well, but it seemed like a very similar synopsis to what everybody else was doing, right? I heard people breaking it down by the minutes of wrestling versus the minutes of commercials. I saw Josh Edlow commented something along the lines of, hey, they keep interrupting these commercials with WrestleMania, things like that. Very tongue-in-cheek, sarcastic comments because of how many commercials there were. And it's just like you're trying to watch this wrestling show and you're getting so many commercials. And I don't know if, obviously you're selling advertising. That's the whole goal of it. But it's like, it didn't have the Super Bowl feel where people were like, oh, I can't wait to see what kind of ads Coca-Cola's running during WrestleMania or whatever. You're just like, man, I'm waiting so long in between matches. And then obviously during that, you just start thinking about other stuff. You're not focused on what's going on. And I find myself thinking about, like, what are the people doing that are in the arena right now, right? You're sitting there for 4 or 5 hours and you watch, 65 minutes of wrestling. It's like, how are these people feeling when they're in there? What are they doing? What are they doing while those commercials are playing on the TV that we're watching? What are they looking at?
Probably looking at a $143 plus tax tomahawk steak meal with WrestleMania Las Vegas logo imprinted in it. Take your bone home, ladies and gentlemen. Take your bone home. $23 waters, $43 mini custom pizzas. Let's go, ladies and gentlemen. You got to be rich as shit to go to WrestleMania, baby. But I don't know. I don't know what they're watching. I know that here's my takeaway from it. And it's like you just said, you're like, man, I don't have time to watch this shit. I talked to Big Ugly. I don't have time to watch this shit. We just recently ran into it with Doc Haywood, where he's like, hey, man, I am burnt out of 5 years of doing this Limelight show. And, it is that point right now. Like we're not the WWE here in the end, here where we're at the level we're trying to take what we're trying to take to. We're not there. We're not on that level. We don't have live programming. We're not making millions of dollars in sponsorships on commercials. So the reason the commercials are running is because TKO, Endeavor, WWE, whatever it is, they're making a shit ton of money. They're gonna run those commercials. It's gonna go on. And the difference between night one and night two wasn't the commercials. You just noticed less of the commercials because what you watch, it wasn't dog shit. If you're in that building and you're coming off of that night one and 50,000 people are dancing and chanting, oh, bah, boom, oh, bah, boom. And then Brock Lesnar comes out, and it's the perfect length to match. Some people said it should have gone longer. Some people said, maybe we could have got 3 more minutes. I love listening to the guy say, I needed 3 more. It's like, okay, you needed 3 more. Break down, tell me what you would have done more in the 3 minutes. Let me hear you on there, because I'm going to go with the guy who's been around for 24 years. And has been the beast incarnate and the man for 24 years. One thing Brock Lesnar is a smart dude. And they throw this up when someone's injured. They also throw this up, which I learned unscripted. We're going off script here. And Brock Lesnar, whether it's a work, I don't know. But if it's not, man, that guy is a genius. And he knew this was it. I've been around 24 years as this monster character. This is the future. This guy's over. I'm putting him over. X's it up. So not only do we get the passing of the torch to open up night 2, which makes that first match in night 2 made up for night 1. We get to see Lesnar take off his shoes, cry. We get to see Lesnar take off the gloves, the whole 9. So if it really was his retirement, we got the Brock Lesnar. I'm putting over the future to start night 1 because I can sell like a motherfucker, and I know what's good for business. All this money you pay me is worth it. Think about that for a second. I want you to think about that. People go, man, this guy makes like $900,000 a match or something. He's barely on the program, this and that. But is it worth it? All that money you spend on Brock Lesnar, is it worth it? The man that took the Undertaker's streak, the man who beat The Rock and became one of the youngest champions of all time. After 24 years, is it worth all the money that you pay this guy for an appearance? Now that he has created what is possibly going to be one of your biggest stars, if not your biggest star, for the next 20 years, 2 decades, even if a decade. Is it worth it? Yeah, I think it's worth it, because that's what our job is in this business, is getting the next guy, building the next star, and creating the future so this business can go on to make money for years and years after you have left.
Absolutely. Well, he's definitely worth that type of money because, if nothing else, he established himself as a legit killer in UFC, right? Go in there as a quote unquote phony pro wrestler, and you go out there and you win the heavyweight championship, right? You beat these guys who have been in the MMA world for some guys decades. Obviously beat Randy Couture, who had been in there for decades. Great amateur wrestler, and I just remember listening to after he beat Frank Mir, and I think it was actually Frank Mir. It was their first fight where Frank Mir beat him.
Yeah,
but he said that someone in the locker room before said, "Hey man, go out there and show them, that a professional wrestler can't beat an MMA fighter." And he goes, "These people completely miss the point. This guy was a NCAA heavyweight champion, and that he has credentials of being a badass amateur wrestler, right? Not to mention that the dude's he's cutting 35 pounds to get down to the 265-pound weight limit for the heavyweight division. It's just crazy. You think about how massive this dude is, wrestling at nearly 300 pounds the majority of his career, and then having to cut down to 265 to compete in the UFC, and then having so much success. Of course this guy's worth it to have him, because he's a legit badass, right? He's a legit killer that people it brings the believability of the product back when you have that guy in the ring, right? Because it's like, this dude in theory could beat all these guys, and now you have to get into that real good storytelling to make something believable where someone can realistically beat him, right? And to have him, from what I understand, handpick Obafemi and go, "Hey, this is the guy. This is going to be the future of this business. This is the guy that can realistically beat my character." You talk about how smart Brock Lesnar is, and it's just, you think about that matchup going into WrestleMania. That's all I heard was, it doesn't look like Obafemi fears him at all, right? It looks like he is legit matchup for this guy. Like, this is going to be a battle, right? So to see what happened, and to kind of hear the, what happened after the fact, as far as like, oh, they didn't want him to retire in this aspect. They wanted him to do more. How just badass is that? How cool is it just to be able to call your own shots and say, "Hey, listen, this is when I'm done, right? I'm retiring right now after this match. I put this guy in a fantastic position to take this company and run with it," like you said, for the next 10 to 20 years, right? This is the future, the face of the company. I've heard over and over, cuts a great promo, believable work, obviously super over, all of these things, everything that you would say, "Hey, what are the things that you need for the future of your business?" And you just name off those things. And when he checks all the boxes, then you go, "That's the right guy," right? And you think about when Brock beat Undertaker, when people were like, did he need that, right? And probably he didn't need that. But in this case, Obafemi gets a great deal out of beating Brock Lesnar, right? You get a lot of believability. It's the stamp of approval, right? This is the guy. He's going to be the next big thing. Pun intended.
Well, it's the passing. It's the passing of the torch. And you go back, and I'm glad that match was short, because you might have the opportunity to go back and want to watch that entire piece of business from the time they walk out to the entrances to the time that Brock Lesnar retires. That piece of business is less than 10 minutes. you might get viewership on that entire thing. You know, we were just talking about, I was talking about Limelight, and you know, I had asked you earlier, do you ever turn your phone on and watch over 30 minutes of something consecutively, like on YouTube? And you said absolutely not. And when you break things down and you go like, do you remember these matches? Like if you were to go watch a basketball game live, would you come home and watch it again? No, you wouldn't. If it was a game-winning shot from Steph Curry or something, you would watch the clip over and over and over and over again. So this is about moments, man. We talk about this all the time. It's not about moves, it's about moments, you know. One thing I noticed the night before was when Jacob came out on the cop car, he told that camera, bring that camera closer. That's something I do a lot. I direct cameramen at the show. I work towards the camera, but I also go, hey, come up those steps, wipe those feet off, get in the ring. Here, stand right here. I got to tell these fans something. And what it does is it makes the audience look at you and go, this guy is a big deal. This guy's a star. This guy is telling that camera guy, come in here. This is important. They're going to stop and watch what you're doing, and then they're going to listen to what you have to say because you have commanded the presence of everybody to see what you're doing. If he's telling this camera guy how to do his job and where to stand because he's got something important he wants to say, this is probably going to be pretty damn important to say. And I say that because then we like I said, the start of the show was great. The end of the show was great. But you know what I'm not going to go back and watch Roman Reigns and CM Punk in its entirety again. I'm not going to do it. There might come a time in life I do. But already 15 times I have watched that CM Punk package to his entrance walking out there. And I've always said my favorite WrestleMania entrance, my favorite entrance of all time was Shawn Michaels at 25, right? Where he came down from the heavens. And then the sparklers or whatever, and then the pyro, and CM Punk has this amazing package come together, and he's he's sitting on top of Allegiant Stadium in 4K, high definition, whatever, and then he's walking down the ramp. I mean, he's walking in the back, and they're playing his old song from Ring of Honor, and it wasn't too long, and they're showing all the best clips from the start to where he is now. And then this motherfucker walks out with no music onto the stage, and the camera lets us, for the first time in 2 nights, or maybe WrestleMania history, we get to see what the performer sees when I'm looking through the eyes of CM Punk, and that's the story he's telling right now, is I'm going to soak this moment in, because I may have main evented night 1 last year, but I am main eventing night 2 after all these years, after the 7-year layoff, after the AEW experience. I am now the man. I'm in here with Roman Reigns, main eventing night 2. Let me take this all in, and boy, did that atmosphere look fucking amazing, right? And then he's mic'd up and he hits that thing, and it's clobbering time, and then the rampway and the stage comes on. Best entrance of all time. Here comes Zach as a fan again. And I thought this was funny because we sit here and we preach about moments and not moves, and we talk about all this stuff. How old is CM Punk?
I think they said he's like 46, right? Or something like that.
Yeah, 46, 47, right? He's getting close to 50. Now, he took 7 years off, right? 7, 8 years he was off, went to another company, left this company, 7, 8 years off, came back to the other company, the competition. He's back in WWE. He's been back for 2 or whatever years now, even had a couple injuries. And we're talking about modern wrestling, and everyone's saying, oh, the athleticism, the moves. Why is it that the guy who took 7 years off of his career, went to the competition, came back, is almost 50, closing in on 50. Why is it that he is the number one wrestler in the entire industry? Why does he have the world title? Why are the fans going absolutely apeshit for him? Why did he just have a match that many are comparing to Shawn Michaels and The Undertaker at WrestleMania 25 with Roman Reigns in the main event in front of 50,000+? Why at WrestleMania 25 did two fucking 50-year-old plus wrestlers have a match that has held on for the last 10 to 15 years is the best thing we've ever seen? Because it's the story. It's the fucking presentation. They gave you 6 to 8 weeks of beautiful build with meaningful story. They put a package together in front of you. They made this match important. And in both of those matches, the one thing that those matches have in common, and this is all that matters, is two guys went out there with a great story, and they competed with no outside interference to a clean finish to put one guy over, because that's the way this business operates. No matter what these guys did before that, that is what they were doing it for. That was the main event. That was the NBA Finals. That was the World Series Game 7. That was the fucking Super Bowl. They're doing it right in front of your eyes, and people are still questioning how this shit is supposed to be done. They did it at 25. They did it right here in front of your eyes, and they punched, they kicked, and they punched and they kicked, and they punched and they kicked. And Paul, guess what I'm going to say one more time?
They punched and they kicked.
That's what they did.
Well, and I think it's, I feel like at times we're definitely beating a dead horse when we continue to say it, but it needs to be said. That's the problem, is that it continues to need to be said, that it's storytelling. We have to get something across to the fans that they can follow and they can get behind and, feel the emotions of, all of these things. That's what we're trying to get people to do, in general, right? It shouldn't be about going out there and risking your health on dangerous moves. It should be about storytelling. And like you said, punches and kicks. You're not doing a whole bunch of high risk maneuvers. You're doing a bunch of high level storytelling, right? You're just telling these stories, like you said, over a series of weeks. You're laying the story out for the fans to follow along, and then you go out and you talked about this for an entire podcast, and they executed, right? They went out there and they fucking executed the plan that they were trying to accomplish, right? So, that's just, it's pro wrestling 101. Go lay out the story, get it across, and then fucking execute it when it comes down to executing it. It's like, it doesn't get any better than that, man. So, but, overall, the second night, it was way more enjoyable. I really liked the women's match as well with who were the two? Rhea Ripley
and Jade Cargill.
Yeah, I really enjoyed that. And it's like, and I don't know, man. It's just, to me, it was like that was another really good story that was told, and I felt like things were happening smoothly, and as crazy as it sounds, it seemed like they were both relaxed and composed, and just, you could just tell that they were soaking it in and enjoying the moment and telling the story, and I don't know, man. That was one of my favorite ones to watch that night, and I'm not normally, and I'm not normally like that. I'm not normally like, oh man, I love the women's match, but it's definitely happened a couple times where I've been like just over the top impressed with a match, just from a storytelling standpoint, and that was one of those matches that I really enjoyed. And And obviously, I've got all daughters, so it was a really cool thing for them to watch as well and go, hey, I can do anything I put my mind to as well, because these two girls went out there and they did it, and did an excellent job doing their job, right? So
Well, the finish, perfection, right? Like they were teasing moves through the whole thing, and we get into this in pro wrestling, informative podcast here. But Rhea goes for the pump handle, right?
right.
I forget what she calls it, but she goes for the pump handle, and Jade counters out and hits her with a fucking nice athletic pump kick off the rope. And instead of going for the cover, Rhea sells up and she goes for her finishing move. And Rhea pulls out a counter that I've never seen in my entire life, right into her finisher for a definitive cover. What we're showing, we don't need, maybe that's what was going on night one. I mean, not only were they defying, like Roman hit Punk with the stairs, which definitely should have been a DQ, but he also said too, if you're watching on the camera, he said, you know who my cousin is? Like he said that to the ref, like, go ahead, The Rock's my cousin. Oh, you'll be fired, fuckhead. But like night one was just over abuse of the referees and the rules. The rules didn't matter. A lot of run-ins, a lot of dumb shit. But my thing is this. It's okay. It's okay. The purpose, simple storytelling, I try to tell people all the time. Okay, I got this guy. He's a bad guy. I'm going to let him win for 5 months. You know what else I'm going to do? I got this person. He's a good guy. I'm going to let this guy win for 5 months. Okay, now we've established these two guys as they're winning and their move, what they do and their mannerisms and their character with the audience. Now, after 5 months, I'm going to put heel A and babyface A, and we're going to put them in a match graphic and announce that the next show they're going to wrestle each other. And now the fans go, holy shit, I don't know who can win this matchup. And then the confrontation, the conflict happens off of what happens just in a victory. Babyface wins, heel loses. I'm a shit. No, I beat the shit out of you after the match, and now whatever you want to do. It's your story, but we have to get people. We have to establish people. I'm good. I'm bad. I watched the Hulk Hogan documentary today. It was great, all 4 episodes. But I mean, that's what it is. What did Hulk Hogan do? They were having problems with Iran, the Iraqi war. The All-American gimmick sold it. He overcame the Iranian terror, the Iron Sheik. That's what built Hulk Hogan. And then there was Nikolai Volkov. There was just all these people, right? There was just and then Andre the Giant. Like when I was watching the documentary today, I don't remember Hulk Hogan versus Andre the Giant, and I'm not going to go back and watch it. But I do remember that he failed the attempt at body slamming him early on. He jumped on Andre, right? And then he finally knocked Andre down. And it was like a punch or something. He knocked Andre down, and Andre went down awkwardly. And as you go back and think about this guy, this 6'7", 320-pound Hulk, the body slam, like it's an iconic moment. This guy literally, and they said it, the talent in the locker room used to look at the cards, the A, the B, the C cards, and just pray that they could be on the same booking card as Hogan. And if Hogan wasn't on, that's one thing Hogan said. He's like, hey, I'm having kids. I need to take some time. And it was funny on the documentary because Vince opens up the booking sheet and he's like, how am I going to book Ohio and Chicago and Detroit without having you on the card? Because Hulk Hogan opened up all those doors, man. Hulk Hogan not only did he make a lot of money, he made a lot of people money. And they tried to transition that off. They tried to give Hulk a break because that's why he opened up the book. It's like, how do I give you a break so you can spend some time with your kids? Oh, you got to create a new star. They thought it was the Ultimate Warrior. It was not. You know what I mean? And that's the thing about anything in wrestling is who is the next guy? Who's the next guy? Who's the next golden goose is what they call it. He was a golden goose. Are there golden gooses? Clearly Hogan's on the Rushmore, right? Stone Cold Steve Austin's definitely on the Rushmore. John Cena's definitely on the Rushmore. And you got to add Roman Reigns to the Rushmore. Because, dude, this guy for 3 years took the WWE Undisputed Championship and on SmackDown and made that company ratings and the most popular thing to watch, right? That whole bloodline storyline. And then part of the Netflix deal was we need Roman Reigns. And now Roman Reigns has taken what many call the new Intercontinental Championship, the World Championship. And now the World Championship is obviously the most important championship because it main evented night 2. And now he's got that belt back with the bloodline on Raw on Netflix. And because he did it with this belt, the other belt on SmackDown. Now he's going to do it with this belt on Netflix. And here comes Jacob Fatu. They're about to throw the ones up. And Fatu comes out. And I just love the promo because Roman's standing there. And he's so good. And he says, Cousin Jacob, it's been a while since I've seen you. He's like, I can only assume you're out here for 2 reasons. One of 2 reasons. He's like, are you going to acknowledge your tribal chief? And Jacob right away goes, that ain't it. And then he's like, man, he's like, you want this, don't you? You want this belt then? And he says, no, I don't want it. I need it. He's like, I don't want to be the tribal chief. I want everything you got. The shoe deal, the Rolexes, the Rolls Royces, the private jets, the money, the houses. I'm willing to take it all from you to give it to my family. And you're like, oh man, these fucking Polynesians, man, this Samoan bloodline, are they going to entertain our asses again on another program with the other championship belt? That's why he's on the Mount Rushmore, man, with those other 3 guys. Because they've all taken pro wrestling just to this completely different level. Hogan's number 1 for sure. Austin's number 2. And then you let me know with Cena and fucking Roman Reigns who's 3 or 4, but I don't think it matters at that point. But that's your top 4 faux show.
Well, I mean, those are definitely the guys that, you know, when you talk about WrestleMania 3, you think about, like, you know, there's always the question, like, what was the best match, right? And everyone always says Steamboat Macho Man, right? But when you talk about what the best match was, you know, this is a wrestling business. It's about making money, and the match that drew the house was Hogan and Andre, right? So, and that's where everybody's going with the ABC card, right? Everyone wants to be on the Hogan card because that's going to be the largest drawing show, and then you're in turn going to get paid the most money because you're on that show, right? Because you're whatever the split of the house used to be. You know, it was always intriguing to listen to those guys when they would ask what the house was, right? What's the house? You know, and you never really got a great feel for it. But then it's like when they start explaining, you know, that's what they got paid off of. So then they're going, okay, well, what's the house? What's the average ticket sale? This is the dollar amount. You know, I was the main event or I was semi-main, so I get this percentage of the gate. So that's where they're determining all their payouts. So you wanted to be on the show that's going to draw the most money, because that in turn you're going to get paid the most money. So, being on a show with Hogan, being on the card with Stone Cold, being on the card with Cena, or Roman Reigns, when he's going hot and heavy, and it's must see, right, programming, because they got to see what's the next thing they're going to do with the bloodline angle, right? So that's the stuff that you want to be, and in many cases that's where you get the most pressure, that you need to come through, right? Because now the company is on your back, right? You are now in charge of drawing the house and getting everybody paid. So a lot of pressure comes with that success, but I'm sure the paycheck also makes that well worthwhile to be in that position.
Yeah, I don't think it's pressure, man. Like when you're on top, it can't be pressure because you're so good at what you do. Like you see CM Punk walking out and you see that big atmosphere. Like if you're not excited, if that's not what you live for, to walk out in front of those big crowds and do that, like, to me, the bigger the better. Give me a big crowd. Fuck, put 20,000 people out there. I'm being serious, man. Like put them out there. I want a big crowd. I want to perform. I'm not here to mail it in. I'm not here to be nervous. I'm here because that's what I live for. I live for that big fucking audience, man. I want to be out there in front of those people. We talk about content, man. and one thing is, there's so much of it. There's so much of it. I remember being a kid. Did you watch The Simpsons?
Oh, yeah.
Now, back before there was streaming and all this bullshit and you could watch shit at any given time, when The Simpsons went to commercial, that was the time we weren't like, oh, fuck, it's a commercial. We were like, shit, I got to run in there and get my ice cream or another soda or seconds on dinner, or I got to go take a shit. And if we heard The Simpsons come back on while we were taking a shit, we would cut that sphincter muscle and cut that shit off, and we'd come back to watch up until the next commercial or until the show was over with a 1/4-inch turd in our ass. You know what I mean? Because we wanted to come back to watch that shit. And that's how Monday Night Raw used to be. But now you can watch everything. I was talking to Doc, and he was like, well, Tulsa King, Landman, we watch. Yeah, but that's Billy Bob Thornton. That's a really good series, but there's 10 episodes. And half the time when these new episodes come out for these shows on Netflix or Prime or Paramount Plus, I'm watching all 10 of them in one day. You got to be pretty disciplined to sit there with your wife or your family and watch 10 episodes in 10 days or one episode a week. It's all there. And then guess what? When you're done watching it, it's another 6 months to a year before season 2 comes out. So this content we're putting out, you can't expect someone to sit down and watch this content. It's like a match. Okay, you're ready to go out there for a battle royal. Okay, you're ready for as Larry says, a smash match, a squash match. You're ready to go out there 2 minutes, get squashed. Okay, now you're ready for an offensive move. Now 5 minutes. Oh, now you have to progress your programming. You have to make people want to watch longer. If you got to grab their attention in the small areas, and then once that viewership goes up, it's like I told Doc, man, when he was telling me that, I'm like, we're not WWE. This isn't live programming. This is post. Post is tough. Everything in post is tough because it's like I said in my promo that hopefully comes out tomorrow. I'm with the belt, and I said, spoiler alert. Spoiler alert. As I'm sitting in a chair facing away from the camera, I said, this Saturday on Limelight, 3 weeks after I won my 7th PCW championship, and then I turn to the camera and say, you, the PCW fans, can watch. And then I get into it because we're in a business I just told you, you watch the game, or are you going to go watch a White Sox or a A's game and then come home and in the next couple days go back and watch it again while the next games are on? No, you fucking ain't. You might watch some highlights of something cool happening, a good catch or a walk-off homer, but nobody's going to go. When they go to the show, they want content from the show, and then let's go on. What are you going to give me today? Where are we going next? I don't want to wait around to watch this shit. It's an old format. If it was 10 years ago, a format like a Limelight or anything else, something like that, might have actually picked up. We have to continue telling stories, and that's the problem, especially on social media, is nobody's giving us. They're going into these matches like they're trying to have a banger, instead of going into these matches trying to find the camera and make a moment.
That is true. There is no doubt about that. So yeah, we talk about that all the time. What is going to be more memorable? Somebody having a match that was, 15, 20 minutes long, or something that happened, and we talk about it all the time. You could have a shit match all the way through and your finish is amazing. And that's all that people remember, right? They just remember having a great finish, and vice versa, having a great match the entire time through. And you blow the finish and you're like, well, that match sucked, right? Because people don't remember all the stuff that happened. They just remember the moments that they're remembering. And that actually, as we're talking about moments, it made me think about the ladder match that they had, right? And it's something that I had brought up in the past when we've had those type of, action happening all over the place type matches. But that match was just a reminder, right? The action was happening in one place at a time where something big was happening, where it was like, there's a moment right there. Then something else was going on. Boom, big moment right there. It was just a reminder that definitely the next time there is something like that going on, multi-man, stipulation, whatever it is, that needs to be a conversation that we really, really slam home, and we go, hey guys, let's make sure that this is broken up into something is going to happen, then that goes away, and then something else kind of takes its place, and the focus is on that, and then that goes away, and then the focus is on something else. Because that was another match that I really, really enjoyed. And it wasn't because it was a car crash. It was because you were seeing like things that I like to see, which is you see something set up and you go, I wonder what that's going to be used for. And then you completely forget about that thing being there until out of nowhere it's used, which is my big pet peeve when, a lot of people, a lot of people are a fan of death matches. A lot of people think that they're stupid, but I think any match, as long as it's telling a story, where it's not, I just hate the bring a weapon out and immediately use it or something along those lines where there's no anticipation built because of you visually being able to see something and going, I wonder what that's for. And then somehow getting distracted from that. And then all of a sudden it comes out of nowhere that it gets used or whatever. So those are the things that I definitely enjoy. And I think we need to make a point of when those type of matches are happening that we really drive those points home with people to help them tell the story,
Well, that's producing is what you're talking about.
Of course, right, exactly.
You know who I watch a lot of who's really good at producing, because when we work so much together here too, but we work so much together down at your stuff, is when we're presenting something and an idea about a match, I always think it's so cool, but no one really notices because they go, oh, I say it too, but like, oh, he bumps bad or he comes in. But Sergio, that's what he's concerned about when he gets working with somebody. You can see it. The wheels are turning. He's so professional at what he does that he's not worried about the fucking moves. He's worried about like where you're gonna be, where the camera's gonna be, why this moment's gonna be important. And he literally puts his shit together off of moments, working the audience, reacting to the audience. And there's so many memorable moments. And I saved they're memorable because that's what the fans talk about. That's the one thing I've gotten from everybody. Every promoter I've talked to, no matter who, they're like, man, that Sergio guy, they don't like him. He gets a lot of heat. And that's the thing. Like down in Winnemucca, he didn't get as much heat. So when Jerry came out and it was Jerry and Sergio, they didn't get him. That was one of the rare nights that I saw Sergio not get the audience. And in turn, it affected the babyface too, which we sit here and say, well, he's the best leadoff man. He's Ricky Henderson, you know? And that's the thing about pro wrestling is like Ricky Henderson didn't get on base every time. You know what I mean? He did not.
Struck out his fair share of times.
Mm-hmm.
But obviously the thought process is in the right spot, right? Thinking about how can we create the moments that the fans are going to go home and remember and go, man, I want to come back next time because I want to see what happens with this thing. So, definitely something to kind of keep in the back of your mind. And, we look at it with the utmost importance that's what we're trying to create is we're trying to create those moments and tell those stories that fans can follow along with. And so many times we talk about, especially when there's a story told throughout one show, right? Where a fan that is watching this product for the first time could still follow along with something, even if they don't know what the long-term storytelling pieces are. They can kind of get a good grip on what's going on based off of kind of how the show starts and how it progresses through the night. They can get a good idea through that as well.
Well, it takes time. Good storytelling takes time. It's not something that's going to happen overnight. If you're booking something, if you're doing that's an angle. That's people go, oh, it's a one night story. No, you're running an angle. That's all you're doing. It's just I was listening to Cornette talk about, Darby Allin winning the title, and they were like, he squashed MJF. It was a squash match. And Cornette's like, no, it wasn't. A squash match is when an established star beats the fuck out of nobody. That's not a squash match. It's an angle. Darby's running an angle. Oh, I didn't know I was, and that's, they tried their hardest to explain that angle, but they were like, MJF after his match was talking to Renee Moxley Good, as Cornette says in the back, or Renee Goulet or whatever her name is, Renee Young. And she was trying to talk to him, and he's like, that's enough, Renee. I'm shutting off my ears, and I'm not being on social media for 3 days. I'll see you at Dynamite. So they're trying to tell you the story that this guy didn't pay attention, that Andrade was supposed to beat fucking Darby at the pay-per-view. But he was there. But he was too busy preparing for his match. Like he took his phone and shoved it up his ass for the night and even wrestled his match with his phone keistered up his butt. So everything that's going on and all the talent in the locker room, he zoned it out and was only focused on his championship match with Kenny Omega. And it's like, I get what you're trying to tell us, but it's fucking stupid. He's the world champion and he doesn't know he's wrestling. The guy told him that night he was going to wrestle, take the title shot at Dynamite. And then they put the guy over for the belt on Dynamite because it's in his hometown. And now I had it on, but I didn't watch a minute of it, honestly. The main event was Tommaso Ciampa versus Darby Allin in his first world title defense on Dynamite this week. And I walk back in there and Tommaso's just leaking blood. But it's like, that's your first title defense? Is the guy who came in, won the TNT title in his first match and then lost it in his first title defense? He's been in this senseless feud for fucking with whoever for how long? And then now he's up for a fucking title shot against this guy who's the champ. Like, that's the problem. If you're going to put a belt on a babyface, you have to have 3 antagonistic heels at least with some depth waiting in the wings that the audience just despises in order for this guy's championship run as a babyface to mean a fucking thing. You beat the top heel in your hometown, and then your first title defense is against this guy that I don't know if he's a bad guy or a good guy. I don't know why he needs a title shot. It's like we talked about before. They got fucking records down there. They got Meteor Man or whatever his fucking name is. Moonboy. What was that guy's name again? Astroglide? Hologram. Fucking Hologram. 40-0.
I don't remember, but I do remember on that podcast me looking that up and going,
Hologram.
Hey, you're right. This guy hasn't lost a match.
He hasn't.
Why isn't this guy in the title picture?
Any title. You got fucking 40 of them. Why can't he get one title shot?
Right.
Pair him with a couple other masked guys. Give him a trios championship match. Fucking make a 6-man tag team match. You know what I mean? Call it the orgy title. I don't know. But make him a belt. Tony, you got $1 billion. Make this hologram guy a fucking see-through championship and put his fucking, make it so it electronically puts his record in there. And then somebody stops him and they go, he put the 1 and 43 and 1 on the hologram. 120-pound little luchador with no fucking mask on won almost 40 matches in a row and couldn't get a title shot if he blew Tony. You know what I mean? It's like, what the fuck is going on? Does the records matter? Your story. Tell me a simple story. I just want to know. I just want to know what's going on here, guys. Anywhere, just tell it to me. Good versus evil, or build up to a competitive matchup. I don't know, man. What do I know?
I don't know, man. Sometimes I feel like that we're just talking out there to hear ourselves talk. You know, nobody doesn't make any sense. We don't know what we're talking about, but I don't know, man. We continue to do this, man, just to try to help people out, move in the right direction, tell some good stories, put out some good product, etc., etc.
Night one of WrestleMania, you could have literally just had a blind guy pick everything. You know what I mean? You could have blindfolded Rick Luxury and just been like, "Hey, point. Just here, we're gonna write the card down in Braille, and even though you don't know how to read Braille, just rub your just feel." And then you just pick a side right here. We don't give a fuck. We'll throw a finish in a fucking. We'll throw 4 different finishes in a fucking bucket, shake it up real well, and you just pick one out. Tonight's fucking just guesstimate what's going on here, but no, just tell us a story, guys. It's your story. Get creative. Just fucking. Figure it out. Find something. Say, hey, good, bad. I'm going to let this guy win for a while. I'm going to let this guy win. And that's where we're going to start. And that's the top of the card. Fresh company here. 5 minutes remaining in this podcast. Fresh company. Zach's going to win 5 for half the year starting out. Paul's going to win half the year's coming out. And then we're going to have those two wrestle for a vacant belt. And there we go. Now we're at the start. And we'll do the same with the undercard. And then we'll start to look at it and we'll start to see who's getting over, who they don't like, who they do like. If they don't like you, if you're trying to get them to like you, that's the problem. If your job is to make the fans supposedly like you and they don't, that's a problem. So maybe we need to head in a different direction. I've seen a lot of guys in my company. I've repackaged one guy 3 or 4 different times, and he's never gotten over. And you start to go, fuck. He's going to be if he sticks around, he's going to be one hell of a enhancement talent. That's, maybe the lightning will strike on this guy down the road. I don't know. Maybe the audience will just be like, fuck, man, this is a nice guy. Let's start cheering for him. And then I'll be like, thank you, please. Because out of straight sympathy and not even in the ring getting it, you have willed this guy into a championship match, maybe even a win.
That's it, man. Well, and I think, we want to predict everything too much and go, oh, this guy's gonna be a babyface, or this guy's gonna be a heel, and the fans just don't react to him that way, and so sometimes you need to make some adjustments, and so I don't know with the direction of everyone. You'd love to be able to do what WWF used to do, where they're like, oh, we booked out a year in advance and we know what's going to happen every single week, and but the ability to predict who's going to get over and injuries and all these different things is so difficult. We experience that ourselves with somebody can't get off of work. It's like, oh well, hey, I gave you this booking 6 months ago. You couldn't put in for these dates to get off of work, so now I gotta plan around it.
Well, it's like fuck. Braun Breaker. They had big plans for Braun Breaker. He was injured. He came back at fucking WrestleMania, and then the next night on Raw, Seth Rollins fucking swings a chair and clips him with the tip end of it, and the guy's fucking leaking out the back of his head. It's like he was just out for fucking 3 or 4 months with hernia and surgery and shit or whatever. But I don't know if he had surgery, maybe. And then he returns at WrestleMania. He was one of your big WrestleMania matches that had to change. And then you come back and fucking he's standing in the ring on the first, and you fucking shatter the back of his head open and bust. Hopefully he's okay. Just careless.
Right.
It's like Vicker fucking 2-in-1 concussion protocol shot. Like, hey, calm down. I wonder if that's why her match was so short at WrestleMania. They were like, hey, check it out, girl. You almost killed 2 of our talents right here. We're going to go ahead and move you. I saw Sol Ruka, Did you see her fly off and hit her head on that table?
Yeah.
Oh, my God. There's a dent in a fake table. She falls all the way down. She went through the first table nice, but her head just like, guy.
Just clip the second one. Yeah. It's like you have a big target to hit.
There's 2 of them.
Sometimes, no, I'm just talking about like falling through the 2 tables. Like,
yeah,
they laid it out for you to have a big surface to land on, and somehow you miss one table completely, or just barely get it.
Barely grazed it with the back of your fucking head. And that's the problem too, because I've watched those Unreal shows and they fucking pull out a tape measure and they like, this is the exact trajectory that Eel Sky is going to fly and land this area exactly on the dot. It's like, no, I don't think so. We get sweaty, we get tired, we get adrenaline pumping. Let us dictate where we put the shit ourselves. There shouldn't be a fucking marker on the ground where that's going on. Paul, you got anything to wrap us up here tonight?
Well, I do not, man. I'm just ready to go to bed and sleep until I wake up.
Oh, well, that's the most obvious statement I've ever heard. Well, ladies and gentlemen, for the Wrecking Ball, Paul Isadora, I'm Zach Primetime Reeb. If you think we're talking about you, we probably are. This is an informative podcast. Hit that subscribe button. Let's get this thing exactly where it needs to get. And oh, yeah, for all you marks out there, suck it.